Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
For all the talk of that guy laid off 900 people on a Zoom call, it's evil and bad. The reality is jobless claims, the economy. Well, there's stuff out there, kids.
The number of Americans applying for unemployment benefits last week dropped to 184,000, the lowest total of weekly jobless claims in 52 years. A tight labor market is making employers reluctant to lay off workers. There are about 11 million job openings in the country, and the pool of available workers is smaller than it was before the pandemic.
Great for people who are looking for a gig, right? So you can go name your price. Here's the thing. We're bouncing back pretty darn good. That's a win for Biden. You got to celebrate that. Now, I look at what Obama had to work through comparatively to this, where this COVID caused, we had a great economy and then COVID came out of nowhere. It's not like things went south and were building and exploded like they did when it came to, the dot-com bubble or the housing bubble in 2008. This was something that came out of nowhere and affected the globe in ways that were like, whoa. But you got to give a win here to the president. Absolutely. How can you not? Does it mean the economy's great? No, it doesn't, because we're all sitting around going, okay, how's this work now? Who gets to do what? What place is open? What place is partially open? What place doesn't have enough staff? We have a new, in my little town, they got a Texas Roadhouse. People are like, the food's great, but it takes an hour to get at your food, sometimes longer. They don't have enough people. They can't find anybody to work. That's the big deal right now, right? The Great Resignation. It's here, and that's also a good sign because people feel comfortable enough that they don't have to rush back to work. Maybe they got a little cash set up, but also that a lot of people, they're choosing not to go to the workspace the way they did before because they're choosing, you know what? Maybe I'll do some stuff on the side. Maybe I'll open up my own gig. But you can't deny the fact that people are leaving the workforce in droves.
It's being called the Great Resignation. Prompted by the pandemic, millions of Americans reevaluating their lives and moving on. In April and June, record numbers quit their jobs. In San Antonio, Claire Barnett left her consulting job for more work flexibility and time with her kids.
Being home gave me that opportunity to think about it. From a family life balance perspective, we can make different decisions.
Yeah, and I think that's a real thing. Part of what what's going on right now is I don't know if you guys know what this is, a stay interview. It's a big thing right now. So employers are re-interviewing employees. Why are you happy? Why are you unhappy? What do you like? What don't you like? It's a big deal. People want to know they're being heard because they're trying to get ahead of what potentially could be a nightmare, which is watching their employers walk across the street and in some cases not get any more money, but get other perks.
A simple way to define a stay interview, it's an interview that's conducted to help managers understand why employees stay and what might actually cause them to leave. It's as simple as that. And the beautiful part is once you do a few stay interviews, you begin to see trends and patterns that allow you to respond and prevent mass turnover inside your organization.
Yeah. And not everything, as you heard that lady, is about money. Sometimes it's about quality time. Sometimes it's about taking a step back going, you know what? I could work a little less, make a little less, have more flexibility in my life. That's why you're seeing massive amounts of people who are stepping away from their jobs. Some of them, again, they've got some money. Maybe they're a little bit older. They're not really in a financial bind. Others have saved a little bit of money. They're in that sweet, work, 35, 45, 55 kind of area where they should be contributing to the economy. And they've thought to themselves, yeah, I'm going to contribute in my own way. I'm going to open up my own business. I'm going to do my own thing. There's a lot that goes into why people are leaving. It's not just because, I want more money. Some of that's true for a lot of people. I mean, at some point in time, as much, when I lived in England, everybody who worked at Talk Radio UK, where I was working for a while, all of them were for the BBC. and they talked about how much more money they were making at Talk Radio UK. But they went to BBC at first because of the prestige, but also because, that's a big thing, is the prestige, to get the experience. But eventually, at some point in time, they said, okay, I've got that, but I need to make more. And the BBC wasn't paying a ton comparatively to what we were. It's the same thing. A lot of people are looking around going, you know what? I need to go somewhere else and make more. But they're also saying, I could do my own thing.
Nationwide, employers report a staggering 10.1 million job openings. Even in picturesque Bozeman, Montana, soaring home prices have made it difficult for software company Zoot Enterprises to attract employees. So it's now offering on-site daycare, a cafeteria, fitness programs, physical therapists, and most importantly, flexible working options.
We're seeing employees that really, when they are outside of work, they don't want to be at work. And so we are seeing a pretty significant shift in that, where work is something that we do, but it's not the only thing we do anymore.
Which is a good thing. Since my little one came along, I try to find more balance. We'll spend as much, and I don't get a lot of time. I get home sometimes at 7:30. Last night I got home at 7:30 at night. I was in bed by 8:30 or 9. There's nights I come home and she is a no-nap little one, and she's out like a light. And I want to find more time to, not only for my family, but for myself. And I've really realized that, not so much of the pandemic. I think a lot of it has to do with her, because I missed so much of Jack's early years. And that drove me crazy. I was in Palm Springs. He was in San Diego. I didn't get to see him a ton. And, they're little. Now Jack and I, we could talk every day. We text and all this kind of thing. I look for that in ways that I haven't before. I'm looking around. I'm going 50. And I work hard. I got up this morning at 3 a.m. I don't start my show, until, I've got 2 shows throughout the day that I work at. And I'm here. I bust my ass. I work hard, but I'm starting to realize, there's things I want for myself a little bit more. Because if I can't enjoy some of this stuff, then what's the choice? What am I doing it for? I think a lot of people are looking at it that way. So this Great Resignation, 4.3 million in October, 4.2 million in November. Not everybody is, I'm done with work. A lot of people are finding other things that they want to do with their lives. But it's very interesting. But you're looking at this. We have 52-year low when it comes to jobless claims. Stuff's available and it's out there, but we still have inflation. People are getting a bump in their pay, but is it rising to the cost to cover inflation? There's a lot of things to go into it. But you got to give, you could sit here and hammer the president all day. At the end of the day, numbers are numbers. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from you. I did find this hilarious. I'm sorry. It was kind of funny. If you guys didn't see yesterday, the tree burned, kids. The tree burned. Fox tree burned.
Somebody climbed up in the tree and lit it on fire. It's beginning to look a lot like arson. No city is safe. No person is safe from the subway on down. It's beginning to look a lot like arson. You know that one guy with a lighter is not going to stop us.
Nope. You can't burn us down. We're going to rebuild it. We're going to rebuild it, and we're going to build it back better.
Build back better.
So silly. Nobody's safe. He said, not. By the way, the guy's out. There's like criminal mischief, 5th-degree arson. There was a litany of things that disorderly conduct. He's out, no bail. The other stuff I like is, when in New York.
My sister called me from Colorado that they burned the tree in here. So now I came and said, wow, it's really happening.
And it was one of those, what is it? Christmas America tree, where it's all red, white, and blue. And it's like a metal giant tree, right? So it's just all metal. If you took, and then they wrap it with all of the, the fixins and everything to make it look like a tree. And they've got like stuff that they just like, it's not like at home when you take if you've got a fake tree at home and you take it out and you just kind of, you kind of try to fluff it out. This one's different. It's a wrap, and then there's some other stuff. But it was funny because some people were like, I was going to take a picture.
I said if we're in the area, we'll get our picture taken in front of the tree, and there's no tree.
He climbed up, had a lighter, and now he's out on no bail. Because mentally, he's probably got all kinds of issues. But the reality, they're like, yeah, just let him out. It's good. He poses no threat except to Christmas trees. Is there any more? Well, there's one at Rockefeller. Oh, no. So now they're going to have somebody protect it. I don't think it was some nefarious criminal activity going on by somebody who hates Fox. I think somebody mentally is not all there. I know it's a shocker, right? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. A lot of stuff to squeeze into today, including a scandal that is huge. I saw this yesterday, and then I saw how much prize money was involved, and I thought to myself, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me for this? Wait till you hear this story. It's crazy. Raycon, best earbuds around. You'd be crazy not to grab a set of Raycons. Amazing everyday earbuds. Right now, you've got a huge opportunity this holiday season without having to worry about, what about the supply chain and stuff. Ray J's put together an amazing set of incredible earbuds that you can go and you can just, the way that I tell everybody, what's amazing about these is the comfort, the sound quality, the fit, the style, no stems, no wires. And right now, huge discount, 15% site-wide with code HOLIDAY. You go to buyraycon.com/Chad. Use code HOLIDAY on everything. And I'm talking about everything. So maybe something for your mom, for your kids, for yourself. Great stocking stuffers. The best absolute earbuds around. I recommend them to everybody, and I know sound quality because this is what I do for a living, kids. And I tell you what, they're incredible. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Use code HOLIDAY, 15% site-wide. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Irreverent? Yeah. So what? It's the Chad Benson Show.
So yesterday, the Gram was on the Hill. That's Instagram for you, those of you who are not quite sure what the hell that is. They were on the Hill getting grilled about, all the bad that is Instagram.
Your company viewed losing teen users as a, quote, existential threat, whereas parents are viewing their kids' addictions to your product and other products as an existential threat to their families.
Oh, Amy Klobuchar, what are we going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? What's happening with children?
No effective warning or notice to parents when their children are spiraling into eating disorders.
You kind of know, right? Like if you're... I don't know how you don't know. Well, Chad, a lot of things can happen. I'm sure there are some that pull it off pretty well, right? But, it's like you kind of can tell when maybe some people have some problem. At least as a parent, you should be aware, right? But this goes back to doing something that many parents don't want to do, so you have to talk to your children. Oh, jeez, man. What? What are you talking about? Yeah, because they're evil and bad. And everybody knows it.
Facebook knows about the harm. It's done the research, the studies, the surveys repeatedly. It knows the destructive consequences of the algorithms and designs. It knows teens struggle with addiction and depression on Instagram.
So what do? Just get rid of it? I mean, honestly, does that make depression and addiction go away? Because we had it before. Like addiction was here before. Depression was here before. All of that was here before. Well, this really exacerbates it. What do you think is going to happen in the world? Do you think we're going to become less technologically advanced or more technologically advanced? I'm curious.
Disclosure has to include independent, qualified researchers who will then tell the story to the public.
What's the story? Well, there needs to be an age verification. That's the big thing, right? There needs to be an age verification. And this is the CEO talking about, hey, look, this is what you need.
I believe it would be much more effective to have age verification at the device level, have a parent who gives their 14-year-old a device, tell the phone that their child is 14, as opposed to having every app, and there's millions of apps out there, trying to verify age on their own.
Yeah. I mean, I can look and say, as a parent, and see some kids, that they're struggling with certain things. And parents probably know some of that, but they're busy doing other things. They don't realize how bad it is. That's real. But I don't know what, you want these people to do. Well, they said it was an existential threat if they lost. Yeah. To them, in their business model, it is. It's a threat. Losing customers. Right? If you lost voters, would that be an existential threat to your holding on to power? Of course it would. Yes, but I don't make people depressed. Well, maybe. I just don't know what anybody wants people to do. Are you going to put warnings on Kim Kardashian now? Like, hey, clicking on this. She's beautiful. She's hot. Click on this. Kylie Jenner has been known to be beautiful and hot, and you will never attain anything like this. Maybe that's what they're going to have to do. I don't know. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Inflation, as we know, is up yesterday. They're going to build back better. Out there in Kansas City, Biden was out there pitching the dream. We're going to talk about that. Plus, immigration. The Guatemalan president was on Fox News yesterday. And very interesting what he said about the Biden administration and immigration and people coming here from his country and how many times they have spoken. Oh, yes, kids. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. And the greatest scandal in a beauty pageant. Oh, maybe. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Gas prices, I don't know where you are, but my prices really have not changed at all. It's come down a few cents. Depends on where you get it, too, because like across the street, it might be a little bit more. I paid $3.67 again today, which was down from, I think, $3.71. But across the street, they're at $3.81. So, but still there, right? Still there. Gas prices still there, which is higher than where they were there last year. The good news is, though, Biden, who he should be happy with 185,000 claims, great jobs numbers. I mean, that you pat yourself on the back for that. Lowest in 52 years. Fantastic. How about for gas prices? I don't know what he's saying here, but you guys enjoy this.
Weeks ago, I announced the largest ever release of the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, increase the supply of oil to help bring down prices. And those savings are starting to reach drivers. Now, today, the average price you're paying here in Kansas City is below $2 a gallon, $3 a gallon. It's down to $2.90 a gallon,
okay, yeah.
20% down from a month ago. Nationally, prices are down 7 cents a gallon and continuing to fall. We're making progress. We're going to keep at it to ensure the American people are paying their fair share for gas, not being gouged for gas.
No. Pay their fair share for gas, not be gouged for gas. So it's 7 cents. Everybody, 7 cents. It still has an effect. Stuff's still expensive. It's frustrating, I know. It's going to be a bit, and it might be more. We got to see what's going on with the pooter, right? That is going to be something because with gas, with the natural gas, energy prices, people panic. You see what happens in the marketplace. And, of course, that call they had the other day, well, they've made it very clear.
The meeting with Putin, I was very straightforward. There were no minced words. It was polite, but I made it very clear. If, in fact, he invades Ukraine, there will be severe consequences. Severe consequences. Economic consequences like none he's ever seen or ever have been seen. He knows his immediate response was he understood that, and I indicated I knew he would respond, but beyond that, if in fact we would probably also be required to reinforce our presence in NATO countries.
So that's different. So boots on the ground, no. Reinforce our positions in parts of NATO country, that's different. He was also out speaking about it today. And there's no doubt, look, what Putin wants, right? So this is what Vladimir Putin wants. He doesn't want any more expansion of NATO. He doesn't want those missiles, the defense systems, anything's on his borders. Understandable. All that being said, and the funny thing is, like, you've got, is Germany going to get hard with him and say, look, screw it, we're going to sanction this pipeline? Because Germany really wanted the Nord Stream 2 pipeline as much as anybody else in parts of Europe because they think it's going to help. But the reality is the sanctions that would come down on that would be huge, would be massive. At the end of the day, though, like everybody else, this whole thing with NATO, right? That was one of the things Trump talked about. And I thought it was something he should have talked about, in a much better way, but he was always fighting with everybody. The reality is you take a step back for just a moment and you look at all the money that we spend and to protect a lot of these countries who were like, yeah, we'll be a part of the gang, but we don't want to pay our dues. Well, now everybody's looking around going, man, NATO's a really good idea. Yeah, it is a good idea. It is. So what do we do from here if they do invade? Can they come to some sort of agreement to maybe not put certain stuff there? It's possible. But Ukraine's already said, we're going to turn it into hell. So we're going to make this a bloody, nasty thing. Do you think that helps the world? Do you think that settles the world? How does that affect us? It affects us because energy prices are going to be high. People are going to be on edge. People are going to be asking questions. Are we going to have to go in there at some point in time? Is this going to spread from one area to another? If he takes this, nobody does anything. Is he going to spread to another area? Is he going to look at Baltic states? These are all questions that need to be asked because the reality is in the future, if he continues to do something like this and saber rattle, and says, hey, nobody stopped me from doing this and I want to go somewhere else, eventually people are going to get involved. And that includes potentially our soldiers. We'll see. We'll see. Came out today. He hit back and right at the likes of Xi as well as Putin.
They seek to advance their own power, export and expand their influence around the world, and justify the repressive policies and practices as a more efficient way to address today's challenges. That's how it's sold.
Translation. I think one of the reasons, people say, Trump was always enamored with Putin. Oh, I think he liked the fact that Putin felt like he could get stuff done without having to worry about stuff. We don't live in that. We live in a democracy, right? We live in a democracy. And I agree with the president here.
In the face of sustained and alarming challenges to democracy, universal human rights, and all around the world, democracy needs champions.
Yeah. But we're also far more intergrained with one another and tied to one another. Us with China and the rest of the globe with China. China with the rest of the westernized nations who have tons of money that they want to sustain what they're trying to do. There's so many ways that we're all intertwined with each other, which is much different than we were, say, in the 80s. Right? So we had the boycott in the 80s. Remember, we had this boycott in the 80s. It's a different world. We're, today, Trudeau deciding whether or not he should send any officials. So for Australia, ourselves, the UK is behind it. They're hemming and hawing about this, as well as several other nations are looking at diplomatic boycotts of the Beijing Games.
We will not be sending any diplomatic representation to the Beijing Olympic Paralympic Games this winter.
Yeah, that's a guy who wore blackface.
We have been very clear over the past many years of our deep concerns around human rights violations, and this is a continuation of us expressing our deep concerns.
And it's much different than it was in the past. Bob Costas is on with Michael Smerconish, who's taken over for that Cuomo character. I don't know what happened to him. Talking about the difference between what's going on now. Because remember, the 80s, we didn't go to the games in the 80s. It was a totally different world than it is today.
Recall what happened when Jimmy Carter put into effect a full boycott of the 1980 Moscow Games after the Afghanistan invasion of a year before. It had little to no effect on Soviet policy. The effect it had was that it deprived all those athletes of their opportunity to compete, which is difficult for any athlete, but Olympians spend 4 years in preparation, essentially in the shadows, then step onto the world's biggest sporting stage. This is a moment that you don't want to take away from them.
And I agree. But I love what they talk about here with not just IOC, I can throw that out there, FIFA as well, about authoritarian nations.
And now here is China hosting an Olympics again, a decade and a half?
You were prescient. Nothing's changed.
After the last one. And one of the big questions now that you can't evade is what is it with the IOC and their affinity for authoritarian nations? There will be an Olympics, a Summer Olympics in 2028 in Los Angeles. It will have been since 2002 when the Winter Games were in Salt Lake, since there has been an Olympics on American soil, and yet American television is the single greatest source of revenue for the IOC.
Because it's the single source, the greatest source of revenue that we know. The IOC's backroom, they love authoritarians because authoritarians have the power to hand you wads of cash. They have the power to put you in positions of power for awarding them the games and putting you in charge of certain things where you have a windfall of money because they have no scruples and they do not care. How is Qatar hosting a World Cup? Their human rights violations are tremendous. How many people who are going to go to these World Cup, this World Cup next year, are going to go there and in a stadium that is built by migrants who are poor, who become slave labor, and many of whom die and are just covered up over? How in God's name did you give this country? This was an emerging nation who has fought through dictatorship to emerge and become some sort of growing democracy where you're trying to reward them and show the world, look, this is what they're doing. No, this is a country that has tons of money, that is shady, that is cracked down. I mean, the stuff that they're talking about doing with, like, okay, for this month, we're going to allow people to, drink beer and alcohol and not wear. I told people there's going to be people that go to this World Cup that would go home at any other World Cup that are going to be arrested and spend a very long time there. You watch. But these organizations love this stuff. They do. We're going to get deeper into this, but I'm telling you, we're all intertwined. So when something sad, crazy happens nowadays, whether it be an invasion, and let's not forget, Christmas is coming up, and we know Russia, the Soviets, Christmas. Remember what happened? China is loving this. I saw somebody yesterday, they said, hey, look, this reminds you of 36, right? Jesse Owens, Hitler. What are we doing sending people to these games? That's why I'm glad we're not sending anybody diplomatically. I don't think you punish the athletes, but still. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Rough Greens makes every pet food better. Give it to my dog Doodle every single night. Every single night. He gets it. In the morning, sprinkle on there too. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega 369. He's bouncy. He's happy. He runs. He greets me at the door. He goes in circles. He jumps up and down. He plays out back. He does things he's never done. And for the last 2 years, his life has changed tremendously. It's all because of a small supplement that I sprinkle on top of his food. Rough Greens wants you to try it before you buy it. ruffgreens.com/Chad. You go there. You try it. All you do is cover the cost of shipping. They're going to give you a bag for free. Whether your dog's got issues with their skin and fur, maybe they've got digestive issues, maybe they're just looking for overall balance and health, or maybe they've got issues with like my dog had bad issues with his hips and joint pain, you watch what this will do for him. ruffgreens.com/Chad. Free bag for you. Cover the cost of shipping or call 833-MY-DOG-77. 833-MY-DOG-77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. We're going to talk about it.
What you gonna do with all that junk inside your trunk? I'ma get you.
We're going to talk about this next. Craziness that is going on in a beauty contest. It's the Chad Benson Show.
If you like talk radio like Chad Benson likes his meals, you've come to the perfect place for takeout.
A Thursday night game in the NFL. The Vikings at home hosting the Steelers. I am 99-64. Hopefully tomorrow I'll be 164. Give you the rest of my picks. Who do I have tonight? You got the Vikings. Tell you why. Short week. Ben Roethlisberger. I just feel like the Vikings are poised for a win. The one big issue I have is usually Kirk Cousins shrinks when the spotlight's on. I'm playing a hunch tonight, though. I think the Vikings get it done. They beat the Steelers. It's a crazy year. I can't remember a year where it's been this crazy. Really, when you look at it, it's like everybody. I mean, the Vikings are 5-7, and they're like right in the playoff hunt. Washington's 6-6. They play the Cowboys this weekend. If you'd have told me 4 weeks ago, hey, this game was not only counting for something for real for getting in the playoffs, but this could have epic shift in potentially over the next 4 weeks of Washington having a shot at winning the division, I'd be like, you're nuts. And then you talk about, was it 5 weeks ago? You look over, and 6 weeks ago it was like 2-4, the Patriots. Now they're arguably the best team in football. So should be a fun game tonight. Speaking of controversy, just absolute craziness, chaos.
Get you love drunk off my hump, 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 my lovely little lumps. Check it out.
So, camels. You guys know what those are? Apparently, I didn't realize how big this was, but 40 camels were booted from the Saudi Arabian beauty pageant. It's a camel beauty pageant. It's the annual King Abdulaziz Camel Festivals near Riyadh, where breeders compete for how much? $66 million in prize money. What? $66 million. So what have they done? Facelifts, Botox, hormones. How are they judged? Well, first of all, they're judged on the shape of their heads, necks, humps, dress, and posture. Think of the Westminster dog show is what some people say. So in order to enhance camels, dozens of breeders have reportedly stretched out the lips and noses, pumped the camel's muscles full of hormones, tried to make their heads bigger with Botox, facelifts. Other verboten measures include inflating body parts with rubber bands and using fillers to relax their faces. It's the biggest crackdown since 2018. And I'm like, what is going on here? I'm just out of curiosity, but when you're like $66 million, that is a lot of bucks. So not only were these cosmetic hacks, they say, unfair to competitors, but they could be potentially harmful to the animals. You think? Apparently, they have a camel tampering detection team that has special techniques which they employ when it comes to new technology that's advanced to the point where they can catch these cheaters, according to the Washington Post. It's a month-long event. Oh, my Lord. A lot of money over there. This is where all our money's going, our oil money. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Crime is up. Telling the guy that leads like the unions for the police in LA. he's hilarious. Try to get it on maybe next week. Just some of the stuff he's saying though. He's got good one-liners. You know, talking about the no bail and the stuff. But he said, "Don't come to LA. Don't come to California. We can't protect you. So if you're a tourist, don't come here." He also says you're safer. I love this. You're safer on a set with Alec Baldwin holding a gun than you are in Los Angeles. But look, let's be real. There's crime. I've always been fascinated by the soft on crime. But it goes back to a lot of what we talk about. Common sense has just been rooted out of anything. Common sense has been rooted. Common sense says, hey, if this guy's a career criminal, letting him out of jail isn't going to solve the people's problems that he's going to hurt. It's just going to give him more offer of opportunity. And like so many of these crazy liberal ideas of the want to try to do something, right? Because they think it makes people feel good because so much of it's based in feelings. The reality is it's insane. I mean, no bail. Well, that's fine. Like I said, you can call it a little bit of weed. You don't have a large criminal past. Do I think you should sit in jail forever? No, while you wait for trial. Some of that stuff, they pull somebody out and say, well, look at so-and-so, and they lost their job in their house. That is because of insanity. And people asking for ridiculousness when it comes to bails. San Jose has released 3 murderers. 3 murderers on no bail. So 3 murder suspects. 3 of them. Not somebody who shoplifted. Not somebody who stole a car. 3 people who are alleged to have killed somebody on their own recognizance. I shouldn't be laughing, but they say, well, they're supposed to monitor themselves. We can't find 2 of them, and we still think they're here in America, but we're pretty sure the 3rd one went to Mexico. I'm like, solid plan. Solid plan. But crime's up. And wanting to help people is one thing. But when you look around, We're setting records again when it comes to things like homicides. This isn't just petty crime. 12 cities hit an all-time high when it comes to homicide. Think about that for a second. 12 cities. Let's see here. Austin, Albuquerque, Tucson, Portland, St. Paul, Indianapolis, Toledo, Rochester, Philadelphia, Louisville, Columbus, and Baton Rouge. That's not just petty crime. Big cities across the country through stupid, and stop blaming, well, we think it's because of the pandemic. It's not. It's because we need to have harsh punishment for people who are a threat to society. We need to reintegrate and come up with new ways for people who've had issues with the law, but they're not a threat to society. We know who those people are. We get it. But the want to go, oh, and again, that Grisham guy, the DA out there, out in Milwaukee, who comes up with these wacky ideas, and he's like, are some of my ideas going to cost people their lives? Oh, yeah, you betcha. Nuts. Carjackings are back. That's very 90s.
Disturbing trend on American streets. Major cities seeing a dramatic rise in carjackings.
One expert blames the pandemic creating a perfect storm of conditions with unemployed, disenfranchised young people and proactive policing being cut back due to budget constraints. Here in Washington, this recent incident took place at a gas station in broad daylight, 3:39 in the afternoon. A car full of suspects pulls up alongside a silver Mercedes at the gas pump. Guns are ultimately drawn, and the owner then gives up the car.
Yeah. Chicago, their mayor, Lightfoot, what'd she say? She's disappointed that people aren't protecting their property. They need to do a better job of protecting their stuff. That's the asinine way that so many people are looking at this. They're soft on criminals, hard on the law-abiding citizens. They're soft on people that do things that are wrong, and they try to spin it as if, well, this person just needed to eat, or it's all about, the need, the necessity. It's a necessity thing. That's why they robbed this store. It was out of necessity.
The trends in major cities are disturbing, according to the National Insurance Crime Bureau. In 2020, Chicago carjackings were up a staggering 134%, with 1,416 people being forcibly removed from their vehicle. This trend has continued in 2021, with Chicago seeing a 44% increase, Washington, D.C. up 45%, and New York an 81% increase.
It used to be being soft on crime was a bad thing, right? It used to be. And then we overreached in certain areas. I think we can all agree in some places we did. But I always go back to 1988. You guys remember that? Dukakis? Probably not. Some of you a little. But the Willie Horton issue. And if you guys don't know who Willie Horton was, he was a felon who was serving a life sentence for murder without the possibility of parole. And he was the beneficiary of the Massachusetts weekend furlough program. He didn't return. Here's our shock face. Ultimately committed assault, armed robbery, and rape before being captured in Maryland. Became a huge issue in the presidential campaign. And you're thinking to yourself, that's where you thought, oh, we can't be soft on crime. It's not about being soft on crime. It's about being hard on criminals and having an understanding that, yes, people have made mistakes. How do we reintroduce them back into society and give them a second shot? There are some people, they live to be criminals. There are other people who have made bad choices. I'm amazed. But you see crime going up, people are like, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. Yesterday, they burned down the Fox Christmas tree. Now, I don't know if this guy's mentally having some issues. I would assume that he's got some issues on the mental side of things.
Somebody climbed up in the tree and lit it on fire. It's beginning to look a lot like arson. No city is safe, no person is safe from the subway on down. It's beginning to look a lot like arson. You know that one guy with a lighter is not going to stop us.
Nope, you can't burn us down. We're going to rebuild it. We're going to rebuild it, and we're going to build it back better.
Build back better.
That guy had like 6 counts of, criminal mischief, 5th-degree arson, disorderly conduct, all kind. He's already out. No bail. Not even like a psych eval. You just sit there and you think to yourself, this is the world you guys want? This is it? You want to see smash and grabs all the time? Where they have no fear? Yesterday we had that segment we were talking to, where we were talking about, I think it was Betty E up in I think it's San Francisco, where they have barriers now at like the checkouts and in front of the door, so you can't take the carts out because people are just coming and shoplifting. She's interviewing one person, and then one person she's interviewing, the guy's like, "Oh, I shoplift from here all the time." And she's like, "You do what?" He goes, "Oh yeah, sometimes I'm just hungry." Just doesn't care. And then another lady says, "I guess we just got to get used to it." You are an idiot. You're an idiot. You know what this relationship is with these crazy lawmakers is? It's an abusive relationship now. It's abusive. You don't really know them, and in their heart they're good, and they just really want to do good. So we'll just have to, it was my bad because maybe we didn't do something. That's what it feels like. It's an abusive relationship. I guess we just have to get used to it. That's more shocking than the other part where the guy's like, "Oh, yeah, I shoplift from here all the time." And because of that, because of people who can't, again, people who cannot follow the law or know there's no repercussions, is the reason that you and me and Phil and Anthony have to wait 15 minutes to get somebody to come over to get us a razor or to get your child Similac or diapers or whatever, because it has to be opened in 12 different ways. That's why. That's why we have to give over our license to somebody and our thumbprint and a retinal scan and a piece of our hair so we can get some cough syrup. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. God, it drives me crazy. It should drive you crazy. Should. But when you continue to put people in who are idiotic and stupid, when you continue to vote people in across the country who are absolute buffoons, you get exactly what you deserve. You do. Last night, let's tell you guys this. Finished them off. I got nothing left in my Omaha steak box. The perfect gift package. Nothing left. Nothing left. Zilch, zero, nada. What did it come with? 24 entrees, plus they threw 8 free burgers in. We finished the last of the burgers last night. It was incredible. And yes, it's beautiful enough out here that we can barbecue. Bacon wrap fillets, those were gone first. Chicken breast, delicious. Sides, desserts. The kids ate the desserts. Caramel apple tartlets were gone in a second. The scalloped potatoes are amazing. The jumbo franks, I continue. My wife says this all the time, and I said this to Phil. I said, dude, their hot dogs are amazing. I mean, they're incredible. You know when you barbecue a hot dog and it shrivels up? It doesn't do that. It's amazing. The best around. While everybody else's prices are rising, for under $100, you're going to get so much. It's the perfect gift this holiday season. Whether you're maybe a gift for yourself because you love to barbecue and you want the family around. Maybe your dad, your mom, who somebody loves to barbecue, loves to cook, this is what it's all about. And a price that's right. It's the perfect gift package. Get it today for $99.99. Now, you go to omahasteaks.com, right? Go right there. There is a search bar at the top. You put in Chad. That's simple. That's the code right there. omahasteaks.com. get the perfect gift package. You're going to throw 8 free burgers on top of everything else. OmahaSteaks.com, keyword Chad. OmahaSteaks.com, keyword Chad. Chad Benson Show.
Podcasts are American as hot dogs, apple pie, football, and sushi.
Oh my goodness. No.
Okay, maybe not sushi. Next time you have a craving for something sweet and tangy, download a Chad Benson Show podcast.
Boy, that is good. It's different because you get a little bit of saltiness. It's so good because it's sweet and salty at the same time.
Get a taste on iTunes, iHeart, or Spotify and binge to your ears' content.
Oh, yeah.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending.
What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending?
Let's find out. See what's trending on the old interwebs, shall we? Start over on Twitter. Tiger Woods trending, both Twitter and Google. Yesterday he announced he is going to play in the PNC Championship next week with his son, 10 months since the accident that almost took his leg. Said last week he's nowhere near playing tour golf, but he's not playing next week because he wants to play tour golf. He's playing next week because he says, I'm playing as a father. Charlie, his son, is a hell of a golfer. We were talking yesterday. I'm sure every college in America has already offered him a scholarship. I wouldn't be surprised if he follows Pops to Stanford. But so trending, though, everybody's talking about it yesterday. Not surprising there. Some of the other stuff, of course, lots of Omicron. It tends to apparently not be as dangerous as people thought. Are you serious? Head on over to Google. Scott Peterson. Touch on that in a minute. Was resentenced yesterday, life in prison, being spared the death penalty. Fox News Christmas tree fire. Sana Marin. If you don't know who she is, one of the more handsome / beautiful politicians. I think the youngest leader in any democracy around the globe. She is the Finnish prime minister who apparently was out clubbing and had come in contact with somebody who has COVID, and they were trying to get a hold of her, but she left her phone at home, and she was also mask-free. Oh, goodness. Alzheimer's disease and Viagra. Can Viagra cut the risk of Alzheimer's disease? People are looking at this. Study's been going on quite a while, and it shows that it might actually do that. Not only will it potentially prevent it from happening, it will also potentially reverse some of the things that go on with people who have Alzheimer's. More studies are being done. But that's the thing that we've talked about in the past when it comes to what happens in the pharmaceutical world, where they're out looking for a way to find something as something comes to an end of its life cycle, potentially, when it comes to the patent, because eventually patents expires. When those patents expires, then it's generic. That's why certain drugs are virtually nothing. But if they could absolutely see a benefit when it comes to Alzheimer's and Viagra, which we know what Viagra does, so you're going to have a lot of people remembering and being happy and surprised. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Whitewashing. When it comes to home ownership, selling homes, refinancing, we're going to touch on that. Woke wannabe film critics are getting mad at, films that are Christmas-y. Discuss that as well. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thought, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Jobs, 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 jobs. It's the economy, stupid. Never truer words were spoken. We talk about being soft on crime. We talk about all those things. At the end of the day, it's the economy, stupid. As go you and I and the economy and our confidence in it and our jobs and where we're headed, so goes kind of the world, right? It's like the confidence. You have the confidence that that life is good. You can spend money, all of those things. It's the economy, stupid. We all participate in it. Oh, I don't participate in it. You don't buy anything? Nope. You don't have a car? Nope. You don't live in a house? Nope. Okay. Well, then you don't. You don't eat? Nope. Then you're dead. But it's the economy, stupid. End of the day, the economy, stupid. I say it over and over again. It's the one thing we all participate in. And guess what? Little pat on the back to the president this week? Sure.
The number of Americans applying for unemployment benefits last week dropped to 184,000, the lowest total of weekly jobless claims in 52 years. A tight labor market is making employers reluctant to lay off workers. There are about 11 million job openings in the country, and the pool of available workers is smaller than it was before the pandemic.
Yeah. You got the Great Resignation, a lot of different things going into this. You got a lot of people who are doing side hustles and doing quite all right and able to survive. So they still count as human beings. They're just not employed at this moment in time. And it's an employee's market at this moment in time. So if you're an employee and you're unhappy where you are, unless the money is so ridiculous, you got other places you can go at this moment in time, get yourself a new gig. That's a win. Inflation is still up. We still have issues with energy prices. Obviously, what's going on with the Ukraine. But here at home, we seem to have a little bit of confidence in that this thing is going to rebound. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that pre-pandemic, people knew the economy was rocking. I think they all realize that 90% of what we're seeing right now is pandemic related, not the solid ground that the economy was on. In many ways, it was man-made stupidity. All that being said, this stupidity still languishes with us. People are still arguing what we should do, what we shouldn't do. Fauci's still out there.
I understand, and we all understand, how people do not like to be told what to do. They want to make their own choice and their own free will. I get that, and I respect that. But these are unusual times. You've got to think about your communal responsibility to get yourself and your family, and indirectly then the community, protected. So I would prefer that people would be voluntarily getting vaccinated. But if they're not going to do that, sometimes you've got to clearly supersede individual choices. And that's what we're talking about when we're talking about requirements.
Is that what we're talking about? Here's the thing. First of all, the overreaction of Omicron was tremendous. Okay? That was tremendous. In fact, yesterday I was speaking to Alex Stone, ABC News. I don't think anybody's died from it. I don't think but one person's been hospitalized. The Delta variant is still the most severe and serious of these variants that are out there. But the way that the media ran with it, the way that the media went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs for this thing and just nonstop and oh my goodness. But when you find out that, hey, listen to this.
Dr. Walensky says more than 40 people in the U.S. have been infected with the Omicron variant so far. More than 3/4 of them were fully vaccinated and about 1/3 had received booster shots. But she says so far nearly all of those cases have been mild.
Yeah. And there are people out there that had it. They didn't even know they had it and they weren't vaccinated. So that's, but the way that they acted, the insanity of it all, isn't good. Because what's that do? The market panics. The market panics. What are they going to do in places where they're making it tough? Are we going to shut down things? Are schools going to shut down again? Like, there was no real responsibility and due diligence being done on something that people knew nothing about. But in the business world of news, at this point in time, it's about views, clicks, likes. It's about controversy more than it is about responsibility. But it doesn't seem like this thing's going to be all that much. Pfizer came out yesterday, said, you get a booster. It's probably going to protect you across the board comparatively, that if you don't. But if it's mild, and we've touched on it, if it's mild and it spreads as fast as some people are saying, because Delta's still 99% of what's out there, that will help get more people covered, because there are going to be a lot of unvaccinated people that would get a mild case of something and survive it and have antibodies, along with people that already had a shot. Oh, but what if? But what ifs? I can't worry about the what ifs. Can't worry about the what ifs. I can't worry about tomorrow. I can't worry about the monster around the corner. Can't worry about all of that. And the mandates, sorry. I'm with LL Cool J, baby. Ladies love Cool J. That's a good thing.
You know, the vaccine mandate right now is kind of controversial.
Huh?
The vaccine mandate.
You know,
right
those
now,
are personal choices that people have to make on their own. You know what I mean? Personal choices. Me personally, I got vaccinated. But, you know, I'm not telling anybody to do anything they want to do. But
there you go. I agree with LL. And you can't argue with LL because he'll knock you out. I heard it. He'll knock you out. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. So, what is whitewashing when it comes to the housing industry? You know, we talk a lot about race, and so much of it is because there are people out there that benefit from racism, both white and black. And I'm not talking about being racist. I'm talking about just the talk of race and racism, that they benefit. Paul and Tanisha Austin had their house appraised. So they had their house appraised, right? You know, people do that all the time. What's my house worth? How much is it? If they're going to take out a second, whatever it is they're going to do, they're going to sell their home. They had it appraised.
Paul and his wife Tanisha Austin felt like they captured a slice of the American dream in 2016 when they purchased their first home together, this original Marin City pole home. But it wasn't without challenge. They bought the home off market from another black family, hoping to make homeownership a reality for a young black couple. After moving into the home built in the 1960s, the Austins staged major renovations, adding an entire floor and more than 1,000 square feet of space, along with a deck, new floors, a fireplace, and new appliances. Then they got it appraised.
Yeah. So, I mean, so just to give you guys, you know, a Marin County is very nice. I'll tell you guys that. The average home price, according to Realtor.com, $1.34 million. So just put it at 1.3. That's a lot of money. Could race play into what they say your house worth?
I read the appraisal. I looked at the number. I was like, this is unbelievable.
The family tells me the appraiser was an older white woman, and they're convinced race was a factor. The home appraised for $989,000, just $100,000 more than the Austins got it appraised for before they started the work, despite $400,000 in renovations.
It was like, it was a slap in the face.
The Austins immediately called their lender and pushed back. After a month of escalating their complaints, they were approved for a second appraisal.
Yeah. It's interesting what they did here. So you think about this. It's Marin County. A shack goes for $1 million. Shack goes for $1 million. Average home goes for 1.3. They put $400,000 in. They expanded by 1,000 square feet. They updated the hell out of it. So they came up with an idea. I love the smart.
When the date came, they got creative.
We had a conversation with one of our white friends, and she is like, no problem. I'll be Tanisha. I'll bring over some pictures of my family. She made our home look like it belonged to her.
And it worked.
So it appraised for 1.482.
Yeah.
Which was 50% more than what it appraised for by a couple weeks prior.
Almost 1.5, $500,000 more.
That's massive. There's an issue there. Can we just all agree that feels like an issue?
The Austins were outraged and believe this is another ugly result of larger systemic issues.
There are implications of the ability to create generational wealth or pass things on if our house is appraised for 50% less than what is valued at.
We know discrimination is in nearly every aspect of the home buying process, and really we need to be addressing it as an industry.
Discrimination in the housing market comes in many forms and has a long history in our country and in the Bay Area.
By the way, if they're thinking about passing it on, they should have took the lady's first appraisal, because the way California snuck something in one of their last bills, and I forgot which bill it was, is Prop 13 is the thing that is the no-touch ever in California. Essentially, what you bought your house for is what your taxes are paid for, right? So if you bought your house, like my mom bought her house for like $280,000 in the late 80s, it's now $1.1 million. That's what it would probably appraise for now. Maybe a little bit more. The house down the street that was far worse just sold for over $900,000. So my mom's house, which is way bigger and a much bigger backyard, probably would sell for probably about 1.2. But with Prop 13, what does it say? It says what you bought the house for is what you pay your taxes on, not an appraisal every couple of years and bounce, because nobody could afford to live there then. Like my mother couldn't afford to buy the house she lives in today. And if you threw the taxes on there, she probably couldn't afford to live there now. So what they did is that when they passed this, I forgot what bill it was, in there they snuck in a rule that when it's for basically a death tax, that when mom and dad die and they go to pass on their inheritance, that they state then comes in and the county and they reappraise the home for whatever it's worth now and charge the family the taxes then. So instead of passing on, and how do you build generational wealth? It's through home ownership. So while this probably had some race issues involved in it, you should have probably took the lady's first one just because for business purposes, it might have been better. Just saying. But generational wealth, that's how it's passed on. And there is a problem out there in the way that people look at people of whether Hispanic or black in ways that they loan at times. And those are issues that we need to talk about. A lot of this other crap is just noise. And it's just, it's like, oh, so-and-so, looked at me different and I think they're racist, or such and such said something that I didn't. That's the stuff that's ridiculous. This is the stuff that matters. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Take the first one. Trust me, financially, it'll work out better for your kids. Take the first one. Because now it's been reassessed. I'm just saying. 323-538-2423. CarShield. CarShield helps your car. How does it help your car? Well, it helps your wallet, too. How does it help your wallet? Helps you. How does it help you? I'll tell you why. Check engine light comes on. You don't want that deep freeze out there when it comes to your car and your wallet because, what are you going to do? Do you know how many places right now are struggling to still get cars? They're thinking until mid to late 2022 or 23 before the car world gets back to where it was, where the supply and demand catch up to one another. Right now, very little supply, lots of demand. CarShield makes it so you keep your used car, the car that you have that doesn't have warranty, longer. Why? Because you have somebody to protect you when it comes to cover repairs. The minute something goes wrong, you get 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. You choose the shop. You call CarShield. Their administrators take over everything. They handle the headache of the paperwork and the expensive payment. You pay a small deductible. Get on with your life. Go to carshield.com. Use code Benson. Save yourself 10%. And see all the options they have, what it is you're looking for, whether you're looking just to protect your car as a whole, maybe just specific parts of your car like your electronics or something like that. They've got a plan that fits everybody's budgets. Over 1 million people have been helped by CarShield. You will too. CarShield.com/Benson. CarShield.com/Benson saves you 10%. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
inherent white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid?
What? Are you kidding me? Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
You really had a wonderful life.
Oh, it's remastered in HD. I watched it the other day.
Teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right.
It's a Wonderful Life. Frank Carpa's It's a Wonderful Life. We're just talking. That's not been redone yet. But doesn't matter. It's that time of the season when the people take to the interwebs to talk about how horrible Christmas movies are. It's a Christmas show out now called Santa Inc. Seth Rogen, Sarah Silverman. It's like a claymation thing, and Santa's awful, and he's horrible, and what could be potentially somewhat funny-ish isn't really. And Seth Rogen blames the fact that if you go look at Rotten Tomatoes, they've got it like, it's a 1.1 on IMDb and 7%. And who they blame it on? Well, you got to blame it on white supremacy. White supremacists say they're review bombing his series. I've seen bits of it. I'll be honest with you. I find some of that stuff hilarious. I do. But this was awful. It just wasn't funny. But here's some of the critics going after things like The Holiday, Love Actually, and yes, It's a Wonderful Life. What are they saying about Love Actually? First of all, everybody loves Actually, right? Love Actually? Right? What's wrong with that movie? But people are going after it, of course, calling it, it's whitewashed. It's not woke enough. Some jokes and storylines have made politically incorrect issues. It's 2003, right? It is. It's 2003. But some people are firing back saying, I love this movie, and I'm politically correct. And if you dare bash it on my site, I'll take you down. How about the Santa Claus? They're calling it fat phobic. Oh, my good. And It's a Wonderful Life. Yeah, they're going after it, saying it's problematic men. It's problematic men. That's what it's about. And I look and I think it's a movie that is white with no people of color. That's not true, but it does lack some diversity. Let's be real. It's 46. I just sit there and I shake my head. It's like, can you not enjoy anything without seeing something? This is why you ruin Hollywood and movies. And I'm not a huge fan of It's a Wonderful Life. I thought he was whiny the whole time. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thought, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
That's me. Hope you're doing well. Beautiful Thursday. Gas prices going up, going down, going sideways. Nobody's really quite sure where they're headed. And a lot of that has to do, I think, it's first of all, it's the end of the year. What's it have to do with it? Markets are going to get slower as we head towards the end of the year. OPEC's kind of set its thing out there, and whatever happens now happens. Could something potentially do something to spike this? Yes. If there was, say, an invasion of the Ukraine, could we see the markets go crazy? Absolutely. Will that happen? I don't know. Obviously, they've spoken, the pooter, and Biden. He talked about that.
The meeting with Putin, I was very straightforward. There were no minced words. It was polite, but I made it very clear. If, in fact, he invades Ukraine, there will be severe consequences. Severe consequences. Economic consequences like none he's ever seen or ever have been seen. He knows his immediate response was he understood that, and I indicated I knew he would respond, but beyond that, if in fact we would probably also be required to reinforce our presence in NATO countries.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, he's manning 175,000 troops there. I don't think he's doing it for nothing. Is there some saber rattling? Absolutely. 100%. All that being said, at this point in time, I think we're going to be heading into the new year with inflation still hanging out there, just kind of floating around. And we'll see what takes place. And because of high gas prices, because of certain things, one of the other things not talked about when it comes to California is the fact that when it comes to California, not a lot of truck drivers love to go to the ports and drive in California. The restrictions are high. Things with catalytic converters, special things on your engines, more expensive to drive there. They're not fans of it, but when you have a port like that, they can do certain things like that. And it frustrates people. There's a lot that goes into it. One thing that Biden can turn to today and say, you know what? You guys hammer me for all the bad. Give me some love when there's good. And there is good news on the job front.
184,000 people filed new claims for unemployment benefits last week, the lowest weekly total in 52 years. It reflects a tight labor market in which employers are unwilling to let go of workers. They've also been offering higher wages and better benefits to attract workers to the 11 million unfilled jobs in the country. Hourly private sector wages were up nearly 5% in November compared to the same month a year earlier.
That's good. But when your wages are up, but you're not sitting in a position where you're benefiting, that's not good. And we're going through a situation where it's very bizarre because we're having what they call the Great Resignation. People are leaving jobs in droves for a lot of different reasons.
It's being called the Great Resignation, prompted by the pandemic, millions of Americans reevaluating their lives and moving on. In April and June, record numbers quit their jobs. In San Antonio, Claire Barnett left her consulting job for more work flexibility and time with her kids.
Being home gave me that opportunity to think about it. From a family life balance perspective, we can make different decisions.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that. I'm not going to lie to you. Since my little one came along before the pandemic 3 years ago, I have thought about that. You know, I want to spend more time with her. I missed a lot of time with Jack growing up, and parts of it because he was in California and I was in Texas. And then when I was in California, he was down in San Diego. I didn't see him as much as I want. I've always call him every single day, still do to this day. A little different now. He's 11. He can talk on the phone, albeit still as an 11-year-old. And we spent a lot more time last year where the pandemic benefited me was the fact that Jack was out of school. So he spent half the year with me. And it was incredible. And I miss it. I get home at night. I have a 3-year-old, Charlie, who I'm extremely close with. I was telling the guys earlier, my son is very like his mom's. A lot of empathy, very sweet, just a sweet kid. My daughter's just like me, just full of piss and vinegar. Don't take crap from nobody. Last night she's playing with her imaginary friend, Nina, and I hear this. You pissed me off. And I go, I just looked over. My wife looks at me, we start laughing. I go, what? And Steph's, did she just say? I said, I thought so. She pissed him off. I said, well, what happened over there? And she looks at us and she goes, Nina broke my leg. I'm like, okay. By the way, Nina's a trash can. Like a trash can. And sometimes Nina's a chair. But it's funny. We were laughing about it. Stuff that I miss. I miss being there, being around that. And I realize there's a sacrifice that goes with it. So it's not always about money. I mean, money's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. But I think a lot of people are rethinking this. What are they going to do with their lives? What do they want to do with their lives? 4.3 million, I think, in October, 4.2 million last year. Some people are deciding that they're going to piecemeal their world together now, right? They're gonna sell some stuff on eBay. They're gonna start their own small business. They're gonna work for the Ubers and the Uber Eats and Grubhub and do that so they can have more flexible schedule. For others, they are looking for more money, but there's a lot of different reasons why people are stepping away.
Nationwide, employers report a staggering 10.1 million job openings. Even in picturesque Bozeman, Montana, soaring home prices have made it difficult for software company Zoot Enterprises to attract employees. So it's now offering on-site daycare, a cafeteria, fitness programs, physical therapists, and most importantly, flexible working options.
We're seeing employees that really, when they are outside of work, they don't want to be at work. And so we are seeing a pretty significant shift in that, where work is something that we do, but it's not the only thing we do anymore.
Which is understandable. My job's 24/7. It is. We're getting ready to take an extended time off that I haven't done since I've started doing it on the national side. And I'm excited about it because I need to recharge my batteries. We've been going. Plus, before the pandemic hit, I was staying up here sometimes 3 nights a week. I rarely stay up here as much as I used to anymore. And it gets to me, a lot of driving, all that stuff. So I'm take some time off. But, if Putin invades, I'm probably going to have to do a show or two. I'm going to have to always somewhat keep up with what's going on. And right now I get home, leave the house sometimes at 3 a.m. I love this time of year because in Arizona, I got a break. We don't move when it comes to time. So the shifting of time gives me an hour more to sleep in. I still leave the house at 3 a.m. Do my morning show, do my afternoon show, do stuff in between. I've got another business. When I get home at night, some nights my little one's asleep, and other times I play with her for an hour or so, and then she passes out, and then I'm on to do some work, and then boom, to bed I go. So there's a lot of what people are looking at, and that's understandable. And one of the other things is, and we've had it here, I think a lot of businesses have trouble retaining people. And let me tell you something about retaining people. It's not just about one person leaving. If you've got a guy or gal that you really like, and they go across the street to work for somebody similar, or maybe even a competitor, that person potentially is somebody who's going to swipe a ton of people away from the work you're at. So more and more businesses are doing, essentially stay interviews.
A simple way to define a stay interview, it's an interview that's conducted to help managers understand why employees stay and what might actually cause them to leave. It's as simple as that. And the beautiful part is, once you do a few stay interviews, you begin to see trends and patterns that allow you to respond and prevent mass turnover inside your organization.
Yeah, and that's what people are trying to prevent now, mass turnover. Because they know losing one, you may not be able to replace that one. Losing 5, you're not replacing 5 at this moment in time. You know that. And so much of it has to do with the people that are the bosses inside of the company. If you've got how many of you, and I know I've been that way. How many people have stuck around because you're like, the person I work for is pretty cool. I like this person. Because a lot of times companies aren't giving you raises. Whenever I've got a raise, it's because I've left, found something else that was willing to pay me more. Was when I was younger. It's different now, but back then it was. For a lot of people, it's that way. But they talk about in this that people don't quit companies; they quit managers. Some of that's true. Some of that's absolutely true. But in a day and age when you got to figure out how to keep and retain, you got to do everything. And it's not just always about money, although money's a part of it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Why she did it, I don't know. We'll touch on why Hillary read some of her speech that she was going to give the night that she thought she was going to be president of the United States elect. It's weird. I have to be honest. I don't know why. It's just an odd thing. It is. Plus, Bob Dole's laid to rest, and his last op-ed is very interesting. 323-538-2423. Calibrate Weight loss isn't always about finding a great diet and exercising 1,000 hours a day. The reality is, as we get older, life changes. And for me, I've noticed one thing, and they've talked about it, because I've done a bunch of research on this, and I've got a couple friends here who've got a huge company locally, but it's a hard thing to do. And the reality is, as good as it could be, it's not long-term for people to work. It just isn't. Calibrate is long-term. But one of the things they've always talked about was resetting your metabolic system. That's what Calibrate does. It's a comprehensive doctor-guided metabolic reset that promises sustained results through lifestyle change. Your metabolic reset, essentially your body gets to an area where right now your body's probably comfortable at a certain weight. Even if you're overweight, it's comfortable there. So when you get to a certain area through diet, your body panics. And the minute things seem to go normal, what it wants to do is raise that level back up to where it's comfortable. When it resets itself down here, it believes this is where you're supposed to be. And it's amazing. Comprehensive, fully integrated program combining classes, one-on-one video coaching, in-app tracking. You got community members like you, plus medical care, including a video doctor visit. On average, about 14% is what Calibrate's earliest members lost. How would you like to lose 14% of your body weight? It's a simple thing to do. It's doctor monitored, and you watch the results, and it's small lifestyle changes to go a long way. Easily fits into anybody's busy schedule. Right now, $50 off the 1-year metabolic reset when you use promo code CHAD at joincalibrate.com. Your willpower doesn't reflect who you are. Joincalibrate.com. Use code CHAD. Save $50 right there. Use code CHAD at joincalibrate.com. Chad Benson Show.
I usually don't get into politics. As an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call.
You are a blabbermouth!
Come on, man. Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
Immigration is a debacle. One thing you can look up on this president, and there's no doubt in my mind that his immigration policy, which is nil, and in fact, many cases, screams of open borders. And it's hard for me to think that it doesn't. When you, again, I continue to go back to this night, debate number 2, then a person running to be president, former VP Biden, the now president, during that debate said this.
Within 100 days, I'm going to send to the United States Congress a pathway to citizenship for over 11 million undocumented people. And all of those so-called dreamers, those DACA kids, they're going to be immediately certified again to be able to stay in this country and put on a path to citizenship.
Since then, they have done absolutely nothing in doing anything like that, because he knows he's never going to get that through, and fixing the crisis at the border. I know we sent Kamala as the czar down to talk to one of the leaders. I don't know which one it was. One of the, might have been Guatemala, might have been Honduras, might have been El Salvador. But they spoke yesterday to the Guatemalan president and asked him about what's going on at our border in their country with illegal immigration.
Other than your meeting with Kamala Harris in June.
That's the only one.
That is the only communication you've had with the Biden administration about illegal immigration?
Yep.
Does that strike you as being odd?
Bueno, con el embajador hablamos.
Well, we have had many conversations with your ambassador, but between my presidency and the White House, actually, no. I spoke once with Joe Biden because I introduced myself. Then we had the visit of Vice President Harris, and on matters of state, migration, we had the visit of Mr. Alejandro Mayorkas. But aside from that, direct communication, no, we haven't had it.
It's nuts. It's crazy. So the Remain in Mexico program went back into effect, but it's only right now, I believe, in El Paso. So think about that for a second. So if you're in El Paso and you go and apply for asylum and you give yourself up there, and you go and you say you want to apply for asylum, you have to remain in Mexico. Now, if you go anywhere else, you just wander on through, say you want to apply for asylum, and it's catch and release. We were speaking yesterday with Doug Nichols, who is the Yuma mayor, and I was talking to him about it, and I said, what's a normal day for you like? He goes, a normal month we might, who knows how many we get. No, but now we're at 800 to 950 a day. He goes, over the weekend, we had 5,000 people come through here. And some of them were saying, yeah, we heard this was going to go into effect, but we were being told essentially where to go to get around it. That is not problem solving. That is not coming together for the better of the country. That is ignoring something. I give you props when it comes to your job report today. People are going to hammer you if they're bad, and you should get props for good. And again, it's the unemployment numbers. But here's the reality of it. You've been piss poor on a lot of things. The energy issue, what's going on in the Ukraine is partially your fault. We can go on and on and on about the mistakes in Afghanistan, this handling of coronavirus, and immigration, not to mention inflation. But my goodness, you've not even talked to them? Nope. You don't care. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
A lot of people listen to my show, and I'm so blessed. First of all, you're born in this country, regardless of color and all that stuff, and you've won the world's lottery. There's a few places you could say that. This is definitely this is 1A. You've won the lottery in the world, and people always try to define who what are you about? What are you about? I'll tell you this right now. I joke. I'm the alt middle. I'm a person who is. I take things seriously, and we have fun doing that. But I want to further discussions. I want to find solutions to problems. I want to have real conversations rather than arguments. I'm not into flame throwing because I think it's stupid and it doesn't do anybody any good. And it's just easy fodder for people to get angry about. But the reality is it never solves anything. And I take actual sides on issues. And I say that sides, if you will, because everybody has to put something into the right or the left. And we all know that rarely is it black or white. It's usually a little bit whiter, a little bit blacker, some gray. It's never one or the other because there's nuance and there's all kinds of things. But I continue to tell people, the tent that we have, this exhausted majority, we keep widening that tent. We do. I was blessed to grow up in a time where, you know what? We went through trials and tribulations as every generation does to a certain extent. I think this generation's trials and tribulations, were much smaller than, say, my trials and tribulations, which were much smaller than my grandparents' trials and tribulations, going through the war and the Dust Bowl and the Depression and stuff like that. We have technology, which has advanced things in ways that they could never even dream of. And that's so real. I read an article the other day, and if you drop somebody off from the 1600s to, say, the middle of the 1800s, even here in America, nothing's really too different than what it was. You take somebody from the late, say, the 1880s, and you drop them in the 1980s, their mind would be blown. So, yeah, this is a blessing to be here. But we fight and argue anymore, and it's gotten nasty to the point where you can't tell the truth. I read an article yesterday that says Trump is hunting for Republicans. I'm like, what do you mean hunting? Who does that? Who says stuff like that? Yeah, they're coming for. He's looking for disloyal Republicans. I'm like, that's insane. First of all, if you want disloyal Republicans, hell, half of them are the people that you get behind. The other day, Dan Crenshaw, who I like, who's an actual patriot. If you guys know him, congressman, lost his eye, I think it was in Iraq, was talking about being a politician, right? Talking about who some of these politicians are, the ones that are celebrities, going after the Boeberts and the, Marjorie Taylor Greens and the Gosars and the Bigs of the world.
Supporting these two. There's actually other veterans in Morgan's race. There's other front runners. But why support these two? Well, because I've been in Congress for almost 3 years now. There's two types of members of Congress. There's performance artists, and there's legislators. Now, the performance artists are the ones that get all the attention. They're the ones you think are more conservative because they know how to say slogans real well. They know how to recite the lines that they know that our voters want to hear.
Boom. And that's true. I've said over and over again, who are the people that really work in Washington? Those are the people you have no idea who they are. Those are the people that you have zero idea of what they do. They don't have a huge Twitter following. They're not on Fox and MSNBC every day. They're not writing op-ed pieces everywhere. Those are people who, you know what they do? They go in every day and they work. They go back. They're not afraid to sit there and talk to people, from the other party, have serious, honest discussions about getting stuff done. That's who those people are. And you never hear them. But now we live in a world of celebrities. And you can't say anything against certain celebrities because the backlash is tremendous. But I love what he says here. And by the way, I posted this the other day, and I got backlash against him because he's evil and bad, because he's calling out the BS that is, by the way, in both parties.
Let me tell you guys something. In the first 2 years of Trump's presidency, when Republicans were in control, when every single time we were voting on Donald Trump's agenda, who do you think was at the top of that list voting with Trump, and who do you think was at the bottom?
Now, this is interesting. So who was at the top? Who was at the bottom? Think about the people we were just talking about. Trump's hunting for unloyal Republicans, people that came after him, not because of policy, but because they said, you know what, that doesn't represent who we are, the way that he's acting.
A lot of names you would recognize are at the bottom of that list. A lot of names you would recognize are at the top of that list. Number two is probably going to make you cringe a little bit. It's Adam Kinzinger. Voted with Trump almost 99%. He was number two. You know who's at the bottom? Everybody in the Freedom Caucus. All of them.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. They were. Trump was a free ride to them. Now you got the Boeberts of the world and the Marjorie Taylor Greens and all of these people. I find them awful. Can't listen to them. They're not serious. They come out like, let's take they enjoy the celebrity side of stuff. They say things that are absolutely ridiculous because they know people are going to cheer for them. And I'm thinking, that's not who we are. It's not. None of that's who we are. They don't look at some of their fellow Democrats, even though they're Republicans, but their fellow Americans who are Democrats, as anything more than the enemy. And some of them over there on the left look at the right as the enemy, and they've been very vocal about it as too. Today in D.C., something's happening. Something's happening, and it's very interesting to see the people that are there. Bob Dole passed away, 98 years old. Died over the weekend. Who's eulogizing him? Politicians that have been there for a long time, who today aren't politicians, but friends of his. How about the president? Not the same party.
My fellow Americans, America has lost one of our greatest patriots.
What? He was a patriot? Yeah, he was. For real. Patriot.
We genuinely respected one another as colleagues and as fellow Americans. It was real. It wasn't fake.
We've lost that. So earlier this year, he did an op-ed piece. And it was to be run when he died. And it called for unity. Not for over-the-top bipartisanship, but to put things aside and say, what's better for the country? Not better for the party, not better for the person, but better for the country. Some of the stuff he said and he talked about where he came from. He grew up in the Dust Bowl. That would allow somebody like him, who grew up in a small place in Kansas, to get to a point where he ran for president of the United States, where he was a majority leader. And it really is interesting to read some of the stuff. He even talked about, again, it's not about bipartisanship. He goes, there's a lot of talk about what it'll take to heal the country. Because he was very hurt what he saw on January 6th. He goes, we've heard from many of our leaders profess bipartisanship, but we must remember that bipartisanship is the minimum we should expect from ourselves. He goes, America has never achieved greatness when Republicans and Democrats simply manage to work together or tolerate each other. We've overcome our biggest challenges only when we focus on our shared values and experiences. He goes, I cannot pretend I have not been a loyal champion for my party, but I always served my country best when I did so first and foremost as an American. And I've been saying that. People ask me, what are you? Because I always try to define my show. I'm Christian first, American second, father, husband, son, all of these. You know what I'm not? I'm not some party. It's not my identity. I love being American, and I think giving me perspective in many ways is the fact that I was able to live in other parts of the world. But we've talked about it for years. It goes party, personal, and what's ever left is people. When we can say, hey, you know what? What's the best thing for us? I know the best thing for my party. You know the best thing for your party. Let's leave them out of it. What's the best decision that can be made for the people? Reagan said back in the day, imagine what we could get done if nobody cared who got the credit. We live in a world now where everybody cares more about the credit, even if the credit is nothing got done, than a world where we live and go, you know what, this was the best thing, and some people in my party may be pissed, and some people in your party may be pissed, but the reality is the American people won today. It's important. I tell you guys, the exhausted majority here, our tent's full. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. Car Shield gives you 24/7 roadside assistance, a rental car for free while your car's in the shop. You choose the shop. Fantastic, right? Take your favorite shop. They get them paid directly. Their administrators take care of everything. Paperwork, the payment. You pay a small deductible, and away you go. They even get trip reimbursement if you have to take a trip. It's an amazing thing what they can do for you. Protect yourself, protect your cars. Don't get deep frozen this year with the chaos and craziness of trying to get a car and can't find a car, and you're worried about cars. They can't even get rental cars in some places. Used cars are priced through the roof. Protect the car you have, and do that with Car Shield. It's America's #1 auto protection company. They're ready to help you. Over 1 million drivers have been helped by Car Shield. Go to carshield.com/Benson. When you do, save yourself 10% right there. carshield.com/Benson. carshield.com/Benson. A deductible may apply. Chad Benson Show.
Wanna be boys? Give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers.
One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent, a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
To be honest, I don't know why she did it. Hillary read some of her what was going to be her victory speech the night that she thought she was going to beat Trump. For whatever reason, she read some of it.
I dream of going up to her and sitting down next to her, taking her in my arms and saying, look at me, listen to me. You will survive.
I thought, well, this is just, it feels weird.
Through a long, hard campaign, we were challenged to choose between two very different visions for America. How we grow together, how we live together, and how we face a world full of peril and promise together.
She broke down at times. I just thought that's kind of an odd, thing to have somebody do. Hey, remember that night that destroyed your soul? It crushed you, as you've crushed many. Do you remember that? Yeah. Hey, could you read that? So that'll make, because people out there, Fox, everybody else having a field day with this kind of stuff. And you're just, it felt very weird. And you listen to her and she's upset and you're just like, wow, why did you show more human emotion? Mitt Romney, after he lost, there was more personality and emotion. And you're like, you needed more of that on the campaign. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson shows your Twitter. Well, Chad, she probably didn't show that emotion because the tears would have come down. And when the tears come down, she would have rusted because she's a robot. She's very robotic. A lot of what goes on with Kamala Harris, little robotic. I think we can all agree with that. She is a bit robotic. If you like somebody, you're willing to give them a much larger pass on certain things. It's just hard. Like whenever I see her up there, even when I see her around other politicians from the same party, from the Democratic side of the party, it's like, do we fist bump, high five, wrong hand, hug? What? It's what it feels like with her. It's very awkward. Tonight, NFL, Thursday night game. Good one tonight, 6-5-1. Pittsburgh taking on 5-7 Minnesota, who has been their own worst enemy. Still in the playoff hunt. Pittsburgh not too far away from the playoff hunt itself and still in the running to win the division. I think Minnesota knows they're not winning the division because, they're in a league with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers just tore apart the Chicago Bears. And he's an interesting character too. He's an interesting character, but he definitely he threw some shade on them last time they played when he said he owned them and then didn't stop when they were asking about him and, hey, what about this thing when you said you own them? He goes, well, I've been lucky, the last 27, 28 times. I'm like, yeah. But tonight should be a good game. I'm going with the Vikings. Usually they struggle in these situations because it's the spotlight. Kirk Cousins, for whatever reason, has not shined the brightest when the lights have been on him. And the Steelers do, except for you're dealing with a Big Ben who is playing on a short week. So I'm hoping to get the 100th win of my year in my predictions. 99-64 tonight. I go with Pittsburgh to win tonight. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from every single one of you. God, we crushed a lot of things, didn't it? Got a little Omicron. Tends to be nothing, as we thought. Got some immigration in there. Got the big resignation. Talked a bit about jobs, gas, crime. Even the crazy camel thing. If you're not listening to it, check out the podcast. But let's just say the giant beauty pageant that is a camel beauty pageant going on in just outside of Riyadh that has $66 million up for grabs. And apparently the breeders of some of these camels have how should we say, enhanced some of the camels. Botox, facelifts, things of that nature. Oh, man, what people will do for beauty. You guys have a blessed rest of your day. Oh, there it is. I see Friday. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.